Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to a new discussion video. I actually have a unique topic I want to discuss, and I want to pose this question. Do you own your collection, or does your collection own you? And I came up with this question and this topic a few years ago, and I just wanted to finally get it filmed and share my thoughts and stuff on this topic, especially with the trends that I've been seeing in gaming over the past several years and the changes and stuff that have come around. And one of the first times that I got an idea for this topic was actually from watching a YouTuber called The Last Gamer. His name is Joel. He's been a YouTube channel that I have been subscribed to for years, and he owns one of the largest collections in the world. He was actually in the Guinness Book of Records for having the largest game collection at one point. There's a new guy that has it now, but Joel had it for a while, and he had just an amazing collection, particularly in like every game released for different regions. He lived in Australia. He had like North American copies, he had Japanese copies, he had PAL copies, he had the Australian copies. He even had arcade machines, which he built a giant room for all these physical arcade machines. Just an amazing collection of stuff. He had contacts with people in Nintendo and Sega and Namco and Konami, and he'd get early release stuff. And just a genuinely passionate guy. I really loved his channel over the years, and he's, deleted videos and made new videos. And some of his later videos, which he hasn't released one in a long time, was talking about his life and going over his life in gaming and, how he used to buy and sell games and stuff like that. And I was reading some of the comments. People were talking about, asking him questions and stuff, because in his vlogs, he shared his life with it, about having his kids and his wife and all the work and stuff and his health issues that he had over the years, and that how he's always had that constant of always having games and buying and playing them. And somebody just asked him in the comments, was like, hey man, do you ever feel like that these games are have just dominating your life, and your life is revolving around these games? He just mentioned like I see in your videos, talking about all the stuff you're having to do for them. He's like, you're getting older, your kids are getting older. He's like, do you ever feel like that this is just like a weight that's on your chest and it's crushing you? Have you thought about maybe selling some of this stuff and just getting rid of it, instead of having to, add on to your house? And if you're moving, you got to move all this stuff with you. Do you think maybe if you got rid of it that it would help fix a lot of problems in your life that you've been talking about? And then you had a whole bunch of people replying to the comment who were like, oh yeah, you're just a hater, you hate Joel, you're an idiot, you're jealous of him, you're a moron, and stuff like this. And it's like, no, that dude has a point. If somebody has something in their life that is causing them problems, well, then you need to get rid of what's causing the problem. And if it's video games, what's wrong with cutting down or getting rid of what's causing the problems? And so there have been speculations, people leaving comments, oh yeah, Joel, man, he sold his entire game collection off, he doesn't collect anymore, and yeah, he's not a true gamer anymore because he doesn't buy them anymore, yeah, I don't like that guy anymore, he doesn't collect. All of a sudden he's not a good guy now because he doesn't buy and collect games. Whether he does or not, there's still just rumors. But, what does it matter if someone decides to sell their game collection off? I feel like sometimes people feel like they're obligated to a person on YouTube, to their collection, and that person must collect for them so they can see their videos with the games in the videos, and that they're collecting for them. Because sometimes some people do live vicariously through videos, through others, and that's how they get their collecting thrills, is by watching other people on the internet. And they get upset if people say they're going to slim down or get rid of stuff in their game collection. What does it matter to you? If the dude wants to sell his entire game collection, he should be able to. There's nothing saying that he should collect it just because someone on the internet wants to watch it or wants to see it. They feel like some YouTube and creators online are obligated to collect for them because they're viewers of their channel. Now, I'd understand a little bit if you're if people have a Patreon account and you're giving people money every month, like a subscription service. Well, I can understand you wanting them to have videos and collect stuff that you want because you're paying them for that. But at the end of the day, though, it's really up to the person who has the collection and whether they think they should have it or not. I do have a story to share with you guys as well from a friend that used to have a channel here on YouTube. He actually contacted me last year, as I hadn't heard from him in quite a while, and he updated me on his life. I'm not going to share his name or what his YouTube channel was at all, for privacy reasons, but he did give me permission to share his story with others, because he unfortunately has seen people going down the path he was going to, because video games and collecting almost destroyed his life. And I witnessed it firsthand and tried to give him some advice and stuff, and then eventually he just had to close down his YouTube channel. We still talked on the phone and we texted each other, but eventually he got a new phone. I didn't have his new number and we just kind of lost contact. Well, he contacted me on my YouTube channel because he saw I still had it, and said that, hey, he was on Facebook contacting there, and so I contacted him and got his phone number, and he was just letting me know about his story. So him and I met back in the day on YouTube. We both had channels and stuff, and he was into going out and collecting and buying stuff like I was. We were both going to thrift stores and finding stuff and buying it, and he was really into it, where he was going out all the time buying and collecting. And of course, at that time, prices were cheap. There wasn't everybody and their brother going after them. Goodwills and stuff, you could find games for $1 and really cheap, but he was finding games like crazy, buying them cheap and just collecting them. And it was just exciting. You're sharing with other guys here on the YouTube and other people, and they're sharing what they're finding. And, it was just a really fun time. But it started actually becoming a problem for him over the years, as he was spending more and more and more time buying and collecting games, and just buying them for the sake of buying them to show on video. Like, he even admitted to me that some of his pickup videos, he literally just bought stuff at the Goodwill so he had something to show, because he wanted to make a video, because at the time those were like some of the most popular videos in the gaming community on YouTube, were pickup videos. People just love seeing stuff. They're like, man, I haven't seen thought about Super Nintendo in years. Wow, that's really cool. And so he was buying stuff he didn't even care about, because he wanted to show it in a video. And it's only $1, it's only $2. Well, that $1 and only $2 adds up really quickly. And his life started kind of like spiraling out of control, where he was spending almost his entire paycheck buying new games. Oh, this new game, I gotta get it now. You gotta buy $50 here. Got this one, $60 brand new. I gotta get the strategy guide for it too. I gotta buy all this stuff. But he wasn't actually playing it, just collecting it. And he told me that there was a point, and it got really bad. He even mentioned on a video, and I really felt bad for the guy, where he was talking about he was buying so much stuff that he was having trouble paying bills, rent, gas, water, electric things. And, he'd spend almost an entire paycheck, and then all of a sudden it comes to the end of the month, like, man, I gotta pay rent. What do I do? Oh, well, I gotta go grab a couple games off my shelf real quick and sell them to GameStop, or sell them to a pawn shop or online real quick, so I have enough money to pay my rent. And so he'd have to get rid of something. He's like, oh, I hate having to get rid of it, but I had to pay rent this month, so I sold it off. Oh, I'll get it again. And then he'd get paid again, and then that same cycle would happen. And he had a girlfriend at the time, and right before he deleted his channel, he was telling me that his girlfriend basically said that if you want to stay with me, you're gonna have to handle this addiction you have. And that's how she furnishes. You have an addiction to buying video games, and you're obsessed with them, and you're spending every dime, and you've been borrowing money from me, and we're having trouble paying bills, and yet you keep going out and buying this stuff. And she's like, you're gonna have to decide whether video games are more important to you, or if I'm more important to you. And he said, you know what, I'm gonna have to just stop collecting and focus on what is really important in life. And it was kind of like a hard lesson for him to learn. He even said he went to a little support group for addiction, because he was that obsessed with it. I mean, he even told me that there were times where him and his girlfriend would go out with friends, and he wouldn't even go, they'd go out to eat or the movies or something. He'd always come up with an excuse not to eat at the restaurant or wherever they are. Oh, I already ate already. Because he was spending all his money on games. Like, man, if I spend this $10 on this meal, that's $10 less I have for video games. And so he was talking about having the ramen noodle diet like a college kid, you know, just eating, barely eating because he was just got so obsessed with games. And now, talking to him last year, he told me that he's married. He has a great job. He has a house, car. He has a few cars. He has two wonderful children, and that him and his girlfriend are now married, and that they're living a wonderful life, and that he's so glad that he got away from his addiction. As much as he loved video games, and it just became an obsession, he was addicted to it, and it almost destroyed his life, and he almost lost, you know, being in a relationship with his wife, almost became homeless over it. So I was really happy. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm really happy to hear you. And he told me that, you know, he stays away from retro gaming collecting wise. Like, he has a Raspberry Pi that's modded, so he has all the ROM stuff. He can play any of the old games he wants to. And the only thing he really plays is PlayStation 4. And he keeps that, you know, with like 10 games, and he just buys and actually plays the games, but he doesn't let it consume his life anymore. So I thought that was awesome and was amazing. And I just wanted to share his story, as like he mentioned, because he still checks out, you know, videos on YouTube and collecting groups on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, that there are people who are going down the same path that he is, where he just sees that these collections are consuming their lives, and, you know, that they're living for the collection, that, you know, they don't own the collection anymore, it owns them, and it controls their life, which I've seen too. You know, I love collecting myself. I have a big collection. I mean, does anybody need this much shit? Of course they don't need it, but people will try to justify why they keep collecting and buying, and some of it sadly comes down to the fact is they like sharing what they find, which I think is great. You know, it's cool sharing, but you can let it become an obsession that will take over your life, where like, man, I have to show off to these people, you know, because like you get that high from it, which, you know, it's, you know, get that great feeling you found something rare for cheap, and, you know, you share with people online, and you get that, you know, that high five, that pat on the back, yeah, man, you're great, dude, you're awesome, that's such an awesome find, and you have that little high for a little while after you share it. Well, eventually it wears off. It's no different than someone who's addicted to cigarettes and the nicotine. You get that high off of it. Well, now it wears off. Well, now I got to get it again, so I got to buy something else to show off, to get that high again that I got from sharing off the first thing. And it just keeps growing from there. And then you can just let it become an obsession, as I've seen it with, you know, people just buying tons of stuff. Like, even myself, I got a little too involved in original Xbox collecting, like started going off of variants, and then, you know, oh, this one has a book in it, and this one has a DVD in it, and this one has a sticker somewhere on it, and that's the only difference between the other copy, you know. Even myself, I even got kind of caught up in it. It's like, man, you know, I got 5 copies of the same game, and I'm, you know, how much money am I spending on this stuff? And so I've, you know, kind of gotten away from collecting like that, and just really focusing on just buying games that I want to play and enjoy. Now, I do have a full original North American Xbox set. Of course, there are some games in it that I would never play, but it was just something that was very special to me, and I wanted to get a full set for that console. I also have a nearly complete set for Nintendo 64, as that was a very special console for me as a kid, but the 2 titles are priced really high, so I will only get them if I can find them for a good price, and if I don't get them, it's not the end of the world either. I would definitely not recommend, you know, going after full set collecting that some people are, practically going after every game out there. I know there's a few people that are trying to get the Guinness World Record, like Joel, the last gamer, had of every game for some reason. They want, like, you're going to be spending a ton of money, because when I was buying and collecting games for the original Xbox, they were dirt cheap, $1, $2. How I was getting some for free. I've shared this story that I got like 150 original Xbox games for $100. That was less than $1 a title, because they couldn't get rid of them, so the dude just gave me a bundled price for them all. Well, these same games I got for $1 or 50 cents or for free are now $8, $10, and $20. There's some games like Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. It's like a $150, $200 game now that I got back in the day cheap, and the prices are from people that are buying it and the renewed interest, which, you know, 2020 happened, pandemic, and I thought prices were going to go the opposite way. You know, I thought they was like, man, no one's going to want to buy this stuff. You know, it's not going to have any value. And then it just the complete opposite way, and it's gone through the stratosphere because of the pandemic. And it just made people realize, you know, hey, these things are worth money, and just charging a lot of money for them. And there's, this whole grading thing with that stupid WADA company, and investment firms getting involved now with collecting, and they're all jacking the prices up. And this sealed copy sold for $1 million, and oh, I'm better because I got this rarest thing in the world that you don't have, and it makes me better than you. And so then people are fighting over getting these unique rare pieces, and then like collecting every console for Nintendo 64 and all the colors out there and all this rare one. There was only 15 of these made. They was given away at a radio station, or it was a Pepsi promotion or something. There's sometimes people I've seen it just get so obsessed. They've got to get all this stuff, but you're never actually using it. It's just sitting around collecting dust, and then bills aren't being paid because you're spending all your time and money on buying games that'll never be used. And especially with what's going on now in the world, inflation's rising, and food prices and fuel's going up, utilities, you're finding less and less items available due to supply chain issues and stuff. So kind of some scary times now. You gotta think, like, how much money am I spending on video games that I could be spending on more important things in life? And are we letting our collections control us because we want to show off to people on the internet? These same people who are patting you on the back, telling you that you're doing a great job and they're awesome, when you're struggling, and then you have to make a video or a post about how you have to sell stuff, because you got to make a car payment, I had an unexpected medical bill, or my car broke down, I have a $4,000 repair, but I don't have the money for it now. All my money went to gaming, so I got to sell this stuff. Those same people who were there patting you on the back will be the first ones as vultures there to pick your carcass clean. Like, oh, I know you're desperate, so I'll offer, the thing's worth $500, but I'll give you $200 right now in cash. I know you need it, and you're going to have a hard time selling it, and you need the money now, so here it is. And those same people who are there praising you will be there lowballing you, trying to get this stuff from you. Now, of course, not everybody, but there are people like that, are predatory like that. They just look for advantages to take advantage of people and screw people over. I've never been like that. I'm not out here to screw somebody over and ruin somebody's life. That's not me. I'd rather give, a unique, rare item to a buddy who's going to appreciate it than try to screw somebody over on the internet by selling that. That's just not my mentality. It's just not how I view the hobby. I view this as just a fun hobby. This should just be something fun that doesn't stress you out, that you find enjoyable. If you start finding yourself like stressed out, where I can't sleep at night, because I even read a comment of a guy who was talking about, I made a post the one time about like how I love going to thrift stores, and it's really fun because you don't know what you're gonna find. It's just, yeah, hey, you may find something cool. And he made a comment about how it kept him up at night. He couldn't sleep well, and that he was literally going every day, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 times a day, because he's always like, man, if I don't go there, I'm gonna miss that. Because he would see posts of, hey, I just went to Goodwill and I just walked out with this huge box of Nintendo games. So awesome. I beat this guy to it and this other guy to it. It was just so great. It was awesome. And he's talking about how he was physically feeling sick about not being able to get that he might miss out, that fear of missing out that people do have. He was experiencing that. And then he even said that he almost got fired from work because he would spend his lunch driving around game hunting instead of eating on his lunch, and that he almost got back late a few times. And it's like, dude, if you're having trouble, with your work because of games, you're definitely at an obsession and have an addiction. Like, you really need to take a look at your life, man, and get the priorities straight, is which I shared with him, and other people at least agreed with me with that. So I never know what happened, did happen to that guy, just a random guy from the internet. But, when you get to that point where you're worried about someone else buying the deals before you, you've got a problem. And so I always try to keep video games buying and collecting in moderation. I don't spend any more money than I can. Now, there is a way you can fund your game collection, which a lot of people have been doing, which is like, buying and reselling. You might buy a lot of stuff and sell games that you don't want, get that money and use it to buy the games you do want. So, maybe you go somewhere and you buy this game, don't like it, you can then sell it to the game store, trade it in, use that trade credit, and buy something you really want to do. And I do feel too, sometimes people have a problem, I think, with paying a little bit more for a game than someone else's. You know, it's always that I gotta get the better deal than the Joneses. I gotta keep up with them, but I gotta do better. You know, this guy got it for 10, I gotta get it for 5. Instead of like thinking like, hey, you know, would you rather buy 10 games at $5 a piece that are just gonna sit on your shelf and never play them, or buy one game that you think is amazing for $50 that you know you're going to really love and enjoy? I'd rather pay a little bit more money for the game I know I'm going to play than just have 10 more games sitting on the shelf doing nothing because they were cheap. You know, because you can get into that mindset, like I said, like my buddy did, you know, at the thrift store. Oh, it's only $1. It's only $1. It's only $2. Well, you do that 10,000 times, and there's $10,000 because those little dollars and $2 add up. Another factor that, you know, I don't ever see anybody talk about is the cost of your time, which is valuable, and your fuel costs. You know, it costs money to fill your gas tank and drive around. And now with it being over $4 a gallon, you know, yeah, you bought this game for $5, but how much money and time did it take you to find that game for $4? You know, you find a $50 game for $5, but you spend $100 in gas and wear and tear on your car to get it. You're not really getting a deal. So it's important to have that balance in your life. Even myself, like I said, over the years, I have gotten caught up in the collecting bug. I mean, it's awesome, you know, sharing, and you just get excited. You know, there's been a time, you know, I'm at the game store and just like getting things off the shelf, and then you go to check out, and you're like, oh, you're at $300. Like, geez, I can't believe I got the $300. Like, man, you know, really spending some money here. Like, I gotta, you know, cut it down here and not collect for a while now. I just spent $300, and so I've done that myself. And so that's why I find it's key to have goals for your collection, you know, specific goals of like, you know, I always suggest buy what you want to play and only collect what you actually are going to use. Don't just collect a bunch of stuff to show off on the internet to strangers or to have on a shelf, because it'll eventually just consume your life and it'll own you. You know, you'll no longer own the collection because it should be something fun and not stressful. But I've just been seeing that trend with people wanting to just collect just for the sake of collecting. I've had people even reach out to me that are going for a complete North American original Xbox set because they watched my video and they saw my posts over the years about what I was finding, and they just wanted to do it because it looked cool. And like, they didn't even have any kind of personal connection with the original Xbox. You know, they said they were PlayStation people. They like PlayStation 2, and they hated the original Xbox. But because they saw me collecting it, you know, it made them want to collect it too. And I've asked a couple of them, well, why do you even want a complete set? What is it about it? Oh, I don't know. It's just kind of cool because you collect it. Like, okay, well, if you want to go for a full set, that's cool, but collect it because you want to, for your own enjoyment. Don't collect it because someone else is or someone else tells you to do it. You know, you got to think for yourself and collect for your own interests. Like, I have this collection behind me for myself. It's not for showing off. Like, if I delete my YouTube channel tomorrow, I would still collect and play games the way I do. You know, I don't do this as a way to brag. Doesn't make me better than anyone else just because I have a bigger collection than them. It doesn't make them better than me because they have a bigger collection or they have a smaller collection. At the end of the day, it should bring you joy. It should be something that you enjoy, and you should collect for yourself. So just just a topic I thought was interesting because I have just seen how the collecting trends have gone. And like, for a while there, we were at a point before the pandemic where I saw a lot of people talking about, I'm downsizing and, you know, I'm going to stick to just buying games I want to play, and this endless collecting that I've been doing, you know, I can't sustain it. You know, I got to get it. I'm not a millionaire. I mean, if you're, you know, there are some people out there, okay, who make a lot of money. You know, maybe some of the guy's a lawyer, makes $400 an hour. He brings hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year. Of course, someone like that can afford to buy stuff and collect, you know, more power to him. But the average person, you know, we can't just afford to just spend our entire income on video games that we're never going to use and play. So we have to be selective about it. And with the way the world is changing now, you know, it's really made me have to prioritize, you know, what's important in life and what I'm going to buy. And I've already been, the last few years, with me winding down of buying my collection and stuff, because I'm almost done wrapping it up. I've got so many games. I probably have like 7,000. There's no way I'll ever be able to play every single game I have. I've already played a good amount of games and beat them, but I have all the games really that I want. And so I have specific goals that I have set. Like, there's a couple more PSP games I want, some strategy guides, and of course there's some, you know, this newer games come out because I've grown up with video games since they came out. with the NES, and I've seen the progression of gaming, and I love it and everything. But even myself, I don't know if I'm gonna get into the ninth gen of gaming, even as much as I'd like to. There's just not a lot of games right now that I want, and it's such a cost to invest in it right now. I'm spending almost $600 on the console in a game that you would have to spend time playing when I have so much other stuff that I could play and enjoy. So I am getting towards the end of my collecting, and gonna be able to just take the time to enjoy my collection, and I'll still pick up a couple things here and there, but it's not gonna be the crazy mass amount of collecting that I did in the past, because the prices are just way too high for that, and I almost pretty much have everything I already want. So that's where I am in with my life, and with collecting. And I just thought this would be an interesting topic to discuss. Do you own your collection, or does your collection own you? I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this discussion topic. Whether maybe you guys have struggled yourself with getting too obsessed with collecting, or maybe you've always collected in moderation. I'd just love to hear your guys' thoughts on this topic. Let me know. And in this a comment, if you guys want to do a video response answering, talking about this topic, you can. I'd love to see that. If you do film a video response, just let me know with the link so I can check it out, because YouTube doesn't always let me know. Unfortunately, if you share the link, YouTube has been deleting those comments for some reason. But if you do make a video response, share it and tell me about the link. I will post your link to your video in the comment section of this video so other people can find it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun with this discussion topic. It's something I wanted to talk about for a while, and I wanted to share my buddy's story, because I have just been seeing our trend of people getting so obsessed with gaming, and I've seen a few friends that have almost had their lives destroyed over gaming, and I would hate to see that happen to anyone, because at the end of the day, this should just be a fun hobby that brings you joy, and it shouldn't bring dread or depression or upset your life. It should be all about fun. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this topic. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see ya next time.